All right, I'm at Lake House number 2. Please excuse the lighting. I was going to do this at the lake, which would have been a great backdrop, but we got some rain here, so you're just gonna have to deal with me in the undercover here. So hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and subscribe to my exclusive list with no spammer ads so we can get into stuff that I can't talk about on YouTube. That link is in the comment section, or not the comment section, but the description. And let's talk about emojis. Okay, so a lot of different opinions on emojis, whether emojis are useful when dealing or gaming women or courting women or picking up women. A lot of you guys do dating apps and stuff, which is a great way to go in, especially in this pandemic environment we're in. So it doesn't matter. Texting is something that will have to happen, okay? Whether you meet them in person in a cold approach or meet them through your social circle, or whether you meet them online, you're gonna have to exchange these texts. And so do you do emojis or do you not do emojis? So it's funny the amount of heated opinions guys will get on something so really dumb, actually, because your sexual market value and how you show up and your overall game and communication skills matter way more than the emojis you're going to use or not use. All right, so if you have all the blocks checked, you can use really dumb emojis and she'll go with you. And if you don't have all the blocks checked, you could use your emojis will not help you, okay? But that being said, there are a couple studies that were done, both from like the Kinsey Institute in sexual studies, as well as studies in sales. And I'll link at least an article that links 2 of those studies in the description. But what it demonstrated, the studies showed, were more positive or favorable responses from women when emojis were used. Okay, so there's a correlation between sexual partners and getting dates with emojis, meaning the more emojis used, the more people that used emojis or whatever, the more dates and sexual partners they were able to have. Well, and the reason why they speculate is because emojis are indicating being socially aware and having good communication skills, and that would be why. And that sort of makes a little bit of sense, right? Well, so let's think about how women communicate anyway. All right, so let's break it down from a more of a red pill, understanding women, understanding sexual dynamics perspective. This is a little bit outside of the studies now. All the studies tell us is that there is a favorable response to emojis. They don't tell you what type of emojis were used or whatever. They don't tell you, they're not taking an individual person and seeing how their success is, you know what I mean? And what other things are doing right or wrong. The other variables aren't considered. But what that does tell us, though, is certainly use emojis, okay? Don't listen to people who say never use emojis, it's just not alpha. That's outdated and BS, all right? And we got the data that proves it. So people want to not use emojis, cool, but we have the data that shows that emojis are effective and they're effective communication tools. So we have that, okay? That's what it tells us. All right, but let's think from a communicative perspective how women communicate. So women communicate through emotional reasoning first. And when they're making sexual decisions, they're actually making those with what I call the chimp brain, or their hindbrain, okay, is driving the behavior, and then they're getting emotional buy-ins, and then logic is the last thing, all right? There's a place in the middle for past experiences or unconscious minds, that frames their decisions. But regardless, logic is the last step, and emotions come way before that, and those sexual decisions made in the hindbrain come before that. So it makes sense if emojis are, as well as using the right words and word choice and tempo and spacing and how you the way in which you text is actually going to be more impacting than what you're saying. All right, so the words that are being said in terms of like a logic reasoning sense are a lot less important than how the message is conveyed. So how you convey a message to a woman via text is going to be what's impacting versus what you're trying to convey. So hopefully that makes sense. So now we understand that, we can understand how emojis could be used to convey that emotional communication, right? Because that's what they are. They're emotional faces, right? So now we understand that. Well, we got to think about what we're trying to convey when we are sending our messages. So she is going to picture your face or your expressions as being the emoji that you send. Maybe not on a conscious level, okay, but on an unconscious level, she's going to correlate this emoji with your expression. So that should help you now make your choices on which emojis you use. Because some of the emojis are completely flaming, right? They're total beta flaming emojis. The ones where the dude's head sideways and the tongue's out. Okay, would you do this ever to a girl? Like, oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, ha ha ha. Or whatever. All right, that's weak and weird and awkward, and so don't send that. All right, because she's not going to respond even if she continues on a date with you and she ends up with you. Her emotional centers and her chimp brain, she's going to picture your face, and it's not going to be a favorable response, okay? So don't do that, all right? But maybe like the half smile, maybe a wink, you know what I mean? Maybe just a regular smile or whatever. A laughing face is okay, right? These are things that you would do as an alpha male. Your face would do that. That's what you would send, okay? So don't send the really weird, weak emojis that are just overdoing it. And don't overdo. Do them sparingly. It's about how you communicate. And, if you're just showering all these emojis all over the place, you know what I mean? That's a little bit, could be seen as kind of weak too, right? So strong communication would be, using solid imaginary language, but keeping it short at the same time. And when you use an emoji, use an expression that a dominant male would do in person, right? So again, might be a wink, half smile, smile's okay, laugh's okay, right? So these are okay. Maybe a little like 100 or whatever. They did something cool, yeah, 100, whatever. There's all kinds of them, but you're not going to do like the other ones that are, pretty weak. All right, the tongue out ones, some of them are a bit weak, right? And so that's your guideline. That's your guideline. If you think, would I do this in person, and would this get me a favorable response in person? That's how you gauge what you're gonna send and how you send those how you send those emojis. So, all right, so that's it. We hopefully cleared up that, because that's a question guys have, and people have these weird heated discussions over it. So, yeah, send more questions and I got answers for you. Thanks again for the support.